Hello and welcome to my Arts Update podcast thingy. This is episode 42. I am not going to make a Douglas Adams reference. Just the usual will I won't I here. The purpose of this podcast is to update people who know me, Andrew Wundler, about what's been going on creatively for me for the last week or so. Of course, some life updates get bundled into that too. Didn't say loof this week. That's pretty good. So if you don't know me and you've never heard of me, I mean, you can listen, but my goal here is not your entertainment. Only listen if you're getting something out of this. If this is your first update and you haven't been keeping up with me over the years, I suggest checking out update number 1 and maybe update number 2 to bring yourself up to date before jumping back here. I highly suggest that you don't binge listen to this. It's probably overload. I'll do a summary at the end of the year, which is not that many updates from now. And that will serve. All right. YTG updates. We had the first 2 rehearsals for the winter show. The group is still coming together. We had a few people leave, a few people join. I'll probably be able to say next week what the actual final group is. We'll probably only have a few rehearsals where everybody is in the room together due to inflexibility of schedules, both of ensemble members, but particularly also because of the inflexibility of the schedule, the space. There's a couple extra things going on, and it's sort of pinching us in terms of the time we can get in the space, as we are not, we don't have money to throw around to get ourselves prioritized. All right. The subject is definitely consent. We're 100% agreed on that now. Structurally, we're working sort of maybe with this idea of maybe starting with like the obvious, like with what the audience expects for the show that's called consent, and then moving into sort of the less obvious. Going from people are like, oh, this show's called Consent, it's about sex, and moving from that into consent of the governed and the ability to consent to contracts, and where are the lines between informed consent and uninformed consent, and informed consent and coercion. So, still very out there. We don't really know what's going on yet. But this past Monday, Merritt, Marie, and I did some more talking, followed by some short experiments with sort of balancing on each other, and sort of exchanging weight and losing our balance on purpose. Although it probably would have happened not on purpose too. Wednesday, a new person, Fabiana, joined Marie and me to do some experiments with, we were sort of experimenting with personal space. So walking sort of in and out of each other's personal space. Something interesting is that because I'm such a friggin' performer, it actually kind of takes a lot in terms of so someone being standing close to me doesn't bother me at all. I don't really have a big reaction to it if I'm not afraid of the person. But someone bringing their face close to mine, sorry about that. Someone bringing their face close to mine, that really that's about the only thing that worked. Probably if someone was also causing me pain, like pinching me, if they were allowed to pinch me or something, then that might cause a reaction then as well. But the others, So anyway, that was my personal reaction. The others were a bit more reactive to someone moving in and out of the personal space. We also had someone observing as a stand-in for the audience, but then, so they are observing the person who's standing there and having to just accept someone moving in and out of their personal space. But they're also, sometimes the person who's going in and out of the physical space is looking at them, making eye contact with them too. And we had a version where Fabiana took some photos. Maybe I'll post one of those on this thing. So that's where we are on that. Nerd Night update. By the time you hear this, it'll probably be over because it's happening as I record this tonight. And schedule got a little messed up this week. I had a job posing for a photo for Kawasaki City's 100th anniversary. So I'll probably be in some album somewhere. And in 40 years, people are going to look at that album and go, oh, okay, so like in 2023... back 40 years ago, okay, men sometimes wore kilts with little vests and ties, and someone's going to make a very, very inaccurate play or TV series because of that photo or something, maybe. So I'm recording this a bit late. So by the time you hear this, Nerd Night will have happened. If you're interested in Nerd Night at all this month, next month too, we're up November 17th, tokyo.nerdnight.com. NIT is how you spell night in that. You can watch online for free. Podcasting. Okay, finally, we couldn't record last weekend. We're recording this Sunday in the morning for Does It Hold Up? No more to say. I'll update next week on that. Photography, that embassy job I talked about last week got canceled literally hours after I recorded. Was it hours after I recorded? Or maybe it was the next day. Anyway, Friday. I don't know. Maybe it was sticker shock seeing my prices because I was not going to give them any, I was not going to give cheap price to a government that I know has, can afford it. And, but having looked at their website, they didn't. So, according to them, they didn't cancel me. They canceled the whole event. The event got canceled, which it's possible. It seemed the organization seemed a bit like, so it's completely possible. They're talking about maybe rescheduling at the end of the month. But that might just be their way of letting me down easy because they thought I was too expensive. Because I was going to, I was planning to make quite a bit of money from that. So we'll see what happens. Bummer. Life updates. We had a death in the family this week, not super close to us, but that means my wife is out of town for the weekend to go to a funeral. And of course, right on my son's sports day. So I am going to be the primary parent for sports day, which is, I'm not a big fan of sports days. They're just right. If you don't live in Japan, you probably don't know. It's basically the school does a sports day thing. All the kids get together. They do sort of performances, some relay races and that kind of stuff. And luckily these days it's only half a day. In the old days, it was the whole day. And it's just sort of, it's a little bit tedious. I'll be taking photos, so I'll be occupied and I probably won't get too bored. But I'm not taking photos for anybody else, just photos of my son doing stuff and maybe his friends. But I don't know. Yeah, it's never that much fun. And then the poor kid, we finish that, we're going to have lunch, and then the poor kid has a swimming lesson in the afternoon. So, yeah. Anyway, other life updates. I'm going to Canada this winter. I keep repeating that. If you're listening to this and you're going to be in or around the Toronto and Kitchener area this winter, get in touch. Let's get together. I think that's it. Anything else I will add next week when I'm in hopefully less of a rush. Okay, that's it for now. Andrew out.